start with this slide, and I'm going to tell you how we got to hello, my name is not diversity, just so we're clear. It's actually not, it's Letta. Just one slide, Two different things happened to me. I was at a conference. I was giving a talk on how I got into tech at 40, and people came up to me and asked me how you mentor marginalized people, and I was like, what? I didn't realize that was the question. I was talking about something altogether different. Then I went to an event and I was having a conversation with a guy, and he actually called me diversity. Like it was my name. Didn't go over super well. Still mad about that one, by the way, which is how we got here. So I really care about mentoring. I've done a lot of mentoring over the last few years, and there's just a couple things I want to talk to you about. This is me, just so you know, all of that's accurate. I'm in transition, so if anybody knows of any cool jobs, hit me up. I just want to say one quick thing about this slide. Diversity doesn't mean black. It doesn't mean person of color. It doesn't mean black. It doesn't mean person of color. It actually means that you have something that you bring to the table that is unlike what everyone else in the room brings to the table, which Lucy actually talked about, which was perfect. I am a diversity candidate. Part of the reason I'm a diversity candidate is because I have a very weird, vast, fascinating background. I've done a lot of different things. I was a pastry chef. I've worked in retail. I've been an account manager. Those things make me view everything differently than someone who has just worked in tech their whole lives. A mentor is a person who helps structure. Like, you walk in the door, you've got all these diverse skills, and someone goes, hey, we can make magic. We can build it. We can make it happen. If you are looking for slides for diversity and inclusion, make sure you go to WOC and Tech Chat. They actually did a bunch of photographs. You can find a ton. They're amazing. So one of the things that I did when I wanted to originally do this talk was I started talking to a bunch of my friends. And so I posted on Twitter and I just asked, have you ever mentored a person of color in tech? And if you haven't, would you? And why haven't you? Oddly enough, my guy friends had lots to say. One of the things they actually worried about was being a white-splainer or a mansplainer. They didn't want to make the other person uncomfortable. So I thought that was a great place to start. They really cared about that a lot. And so it gave them kind of some fuzzy self-image. They were thinking about, they don't want to talk down to people. They don't want it to be for dummies. They had some privilege concerns, and they were worried about assumptions on both sides. So addressing all of those, there is the potential for there to be discomfort for the mentee. That's up to you to fix. So how you approach it makes a big difference. I will say one of the things I've been hearing a lot lately is people have been talking about that people are trying to mentor them without consent. And what that really means is they're giving unsolicited advice. That's not mentoring. Don't do that. If you want to help somebody, ask them. If they need help from you, they will let you know. And if they don't feel comfortable, you can ask questions. Just find a way to do it that doesn't make them more uncomfortable. And don't have fuzzy self-image. Don't assume that if you start talking to a person of color, they're going to be like, this white person is talking to me and it's terrible. That's not true. We don't think that just because you're a white person. We think that because of how you're speaking to us, or when we're having a conversation with somebody and then you walk in and you just start talking to the other person like we're not standing there. That's when we start getting really uncomfortable and don't like you. So that's actually a human thing, and you just shouldn't do that. Also, don't make assumptions. One of the weird assumptions that was made about me when I first got into tech, people had ideas about where I might be from. I'm from the suburbs. I grew up with two parents. My mom is white. My dad is black. I grew up around technology. I wasn't in computers, but that wasn't a choice. It was more people kept telling me that I shouldn't be in computers. So the assumption that I might be from like the projects or the ghetto, get rid of that kind of stuff, because that's going to be the stuff that holds you back. You have to create a safe space. You have to create trust. And so you have to start thinking about how you're talking to people. And I think that you should talk to people of color the way you would talk to anyone else. Just, how would you talk to your friends? How would you talk to your loved ones? What would you say? Be kind. That's a great place to start. The other thing that I would say is release your idea of what success looks like. Their idea is different than yours. When I was in my boot camp, I was trying to learn command line, and my teacher was trying to teach me as though I was at coding at a week 3 in the first week. So he was like, I'm going to teach you JavaScript. And I was like, I'm trying to figure out command line. How are you doing? This is terrible. So when you are working with someone, it's so important to talk to them. Talk to them. Have a conversation. If you're trying to teach someone JavaScript and they're trying to figure out command line, you already don't. It's not about that the person is a person of color or that they're disabled. It's not about that. It's literally that you're trying to push them to a place they're not ready to go. I personally had a mentor when I was in my boot camp. It was not my teacher. I went and found someone else because my teacher made absolutely no sense to me. I found someone who I really liked and I really trusted. And I just said, hi, you've been helping me a lot. I've been able to come to you with questions and I feel really safe with you. Would you mind mentoring me? And she said, oh, but I'm so much younger than you and I don't know this and I don't know that. And I said, do you know this thing I need to know? And she said, yes. And I was like, great, that's what I need. It doesn't have to be formal. You don't need to sit down and write out a contract unless it's something that you really want to do. But part of the reason I care about mentoring is because I found out that a lot of women of color that I knew were actually paying for mentorship. And I really think that's wrong. You're out there. You all know stuff, lots of stuff, different stuff, and it's all really cool. Sharing that knowledge helps everyone because then we not only get to know new people and get to have fun, but we get to make great products that people love. And how exciting is that? So your life gets enriched. My mentor and I actually gave a talk together at XW a couple of years ago where we talked about what it is to be a mentor. That was her part of the talk. And what it's like to be a mentee. That was my part of the talk. And it was amazing to be able to stand there with a person that I was able to work with, who got me through my boot camp, and just share what that experience was like of having this person that I could go to and be like, he's trying to explain JavaScript and none of this makes any sense. That's what people need sometimes. Sometimes they just need someone who can parse all that out. I definitely feel a lot more confident having mentored people now. I did a lot of mentoring around SQL. SQL is very confusing. Sometimes it's hard to read. But the really cool part was I actually got to give people confidence. So it gave me confidence because I knew enough to explain it to them. And then when they came back to me, they said, someone else explained that to me and it didn't make any sense until you did, which meant I understood it and I was able to give it back to them in a way that they understood. And now they can go explain it to someone else. And that's even better. You create new networking opportunities. You're going to talk to people that you wouldn't ordinarily. There are strangers everywhere. And my dad always used to say, a stranger is just a stranger until they become your friend. And honestly, that's pretty much true. Some of you in this room definitely know me. We were definitely strangers. One of my closest friends is in the room, and we actually met via Twitter, and everybody thought we knew each other in person. And I think a year after we started talking on Twitter is when we actually met in person. So you never know. And your friendships can last a lifetime. I still know my mentor. I actually saw her the other day. And I'm still so delighted that I had the opportunity not just to work with her, but I've given talks with her. I was at her wedding. She's a wonderful person. I love her wife. That's cool. And I, get to carry that with me everywhere. This is from when I asked the original question, and this is my friend Brian, and I loved what he had to say because everyone else was like, I'm scared, I'm worried, I don't want to be the jerk in the room. But Brian was like, yeah, let's do this thing. And I want that to be the attitude that you take with you because this is really what it's about. We want to make sure that everybody gets to be there and everybody gets to participate. I know that Portland is pretty white, but it doesn't have to just be that, and you can get to know other people. I will also say, I definitely think that it's important to think about minorities outside of just people of color. We've got transhumans, we've got people with disabilities, we've got people who are neurodivergent, who are not white. And that's really important. There are a lot of people out there who are autistic. Black women can be autistic. It's important to remember those kinds of things. So if you have a Black, trans, disabled, autistic person, that's still a person you could totally mentor. You might have to figure out how to do that a little differently than you would the person that you think of as normal or ordinary, but that's still a person you could totally help. These are what I think are the keys to being a good mentor. I don't think holding on to knowledge is good. I think if you have knowledge, be willing to share it. Don't hold on to your job so tightly that you can't let it go, because then you don't get any more opportunities. And do you really want to be stuck doing the same thing forever? I don't. Understand what's needed. Making sure you understand what they need. Going back to, he's teaching me JavaScript, I'm learning command line. He didn't have a clear understanding of what I actually needed, and so that was not helpful. Be an active advocate and accomplice. And when I say accomplice, what I mean is be willing to actually stand there. Be willing to take the hit. The person who was standing next to me when I got called diversity laughed nervously. She could have said to him, "What did you mean by that?" That's simple. She didn't have to yell at him. She didn't have to punch him. She didn't have to throw anything. She literally could have challenged him, though, just by saying, "What did you mean by that?" Because I have a name, and he should have used it, and it was really disrespectful that he didn't. When you create an opportunity for one person, you're creating an opportunity for a bunch of people, because you don't know what that person is going to go on to do. That person's going to talk to one person, who's going to talk to another person, who's going to talk to another person, and you're opening doors everywhere you go just by helping one person. And sometimes helping that person helps you too. So that's great. I highly recommend the bottom things being kind of the top of the list. I think that these are things you should carry with you regardless, not just in wanting to help mentor people, but just in your life. If you can practice these things, then patience, care, kindness, respect, and empathy come back to you. And at some point, you might need a mentor, and you don't know who's waiting on the other side of that door either. This is a bunny, and I don't do cat slides because I'm allergic, but I think bunnies are adorable even though I'm allergic, so don't mind me. It is up to you. Intentions are great. However, in the end, they need to be backed with action. Good mentors of women, transhuman, POC, people with disabilities, visible or not, or anyone outside of their known circles, requires being an advocate. This Everyday Feminism article is really great, and it talks about what allies need to know. I think it's really important to just understand you're walking into a room full of strangers, and it feels nerve-wracking, right? So you walked in here tonight, you don't know everyone here. Feels kind of scary. I'm an ambivert. Some days this feels easy, and some days it feels really hard. If you're an introvert, yay you, good job. You made it out of your house. Thanks. If you're an extrovert, good job. That's it. That's all I had. But remember that intention and action are different. Intention means I intended to do the right thing. Your action was, did you do the right thing? And they are two separate things. And you can't just decide that because your intention was good, your bad action didn't matter. If you want to help people, these are the people. They're out there. They're waiting. They're everywhere. They need help. They want to talk to you. They want you to talk to them. They want to be standing in this room. They want to be sitting in this room. They want to be talking in this room. And they want to be here. And you can volunteer. There are lots of cool places. I've been a Django Girls coach, and I have to tell you, it's one of the coolest things I've ever done. I love Django. And when I did Django in my code camp, my teacher absolutely hated me because I was like, how many times can I blow this up before I make it work? And he said, you could find the error. And I said, I tried that. That didn't work. So I'm just going to blow it up and start over. And it was funny because I kept coming to the same point, and that was actually how I figured out what my problem was. I kept hitting the same exact point and finding an error, and that was how I figured out what the error was. Sometimes it's just an extra semicolon, but sometimes when you're learning, it takes you a while to figure out that it's just an extra semicolon. You know that. The person that you're helping doesn't. Let them figure it out how they need to figure it out. Your way works for you. Their way works for them. And because they have differences, your way might never work for them. And it's definitely something to keep in mind. All right. Well, if you need me, you know where to find me. I'm LunarRaven13, and thank you so much.